Yo, what's good? This your main correspondent, Alan Taylor, and I'm back in the broadcast room yet again, always with another one. Yes, indeed. So listen, look, apparently Trump has gotten immunity from things. Of course, it's certain privileges that come with being a president. Hey, it is what it is. Like it or not out here, hey. It just is what it is, people. And the thing of this is I'm wondering what is going to be the effects on the Georgia case. So I'm just trying to do a little diving here. Just roll with me on this. We're gonna go here now, and then we're gonna have another one back up behind this. You know what I'm saying, from a couple of different sources, and we're gonna check this out. Let's put these quarters, nickels, and dimes in on the times.
Major breaking news from the U.S. Supreme Court on the final day of its term. The High Court has just issued one of its most consequential rulings in recent decades, a decision that not only affects the 2024 race for president following last week's contentious debate, but also the future of the presidency itself from this day forward. Moments ago, the justices ruling on Donald Trump's claim of absolute immunity from criminal prosecution, his core argument in both the 2020 election interference case in Washington, D.C., and the classified documents case in Florida. The court deciding this morning presidents do have immunity for official acts, but there is no immunity for non-official acts. The court then sending it back to the lower courts. So let's get right out to ABC's senior national correspondent, Terry Moran, at the Supreme Court. And Terry, as we noted, this goes far beyond former President Donald Trump, but presidents in the future.
Absolutely. This is a ruling, the biggest ruling on presidential power in decades. All future presidents will have to reckon with it. And it is a 43-page opinion that basically says there's more work to be done in this prosecution at the lower level. But the court did, as you suggest, have to outline the big question. Donald Trump's claim that former presidents are absolutely immune from prosecution, can never be prosecuted for any of their official acts. And in this case, the court says that a former president may have some immunity from criminal prosecution for official acts during his tenure in office. And then comes the fine print. And what the court does here is steps through each of the actions of former President Trump in his alleged conspiracy to overthrow the 2020 election, his conversations with Mike Pence, pressuring Mike Pence, his conversations with Justice Department officials, pressuring them, his conversations with state officials, and his speech on January 6th. And in each instance, the court takes a look, raises the issues, and sends it back down to the trial court to figure out, under this guidance, is Trump immune on each of those areas of evidence in this prosecution? What it means is a lot more work at the trial court and a lot more delay for this trial. We'll take a deeper look at it, but that's the basic outline. Trump does not have absolute immunity. He can be prosecuted, but it depends on how the lower court looks at this opinion in each of those very fact-specific areas.
Okay, so, all right, from what he's explaining here, seems like the lower level courts can still, try to bring up things that he's done outside of the presidency. So, okay, so if he's done something outside of the presidency, then yeah, they can prosecute for that. But while he's actually in office and makes a decision, whatever decision gets made, he possibly may not be able to be prosecuted for said decision. So that rolls off into, technically him questioning the voting situation in Georgia. So yeah. All right. Here we go, because I'm curious here now. What I want to do is we're gonna roll off into this next one real quick, and we're gonna check this one out. Let's see here. Where am I at? Where am I at? Right here, I think. Hold on. Did I have? Yeah. Okay. All right. Oh, no, my bad. My bad. My bad. My bad. Let's go here now. And let's see what's going to go on in Georgia. Okay.
U.S. Supreme Court sends the decision on presidential immunity back to the lower court. A look at what this means for former President Trump and the election interference case right here in Georgia. The Supreme Court issuing its ruling in a landmark case that could have an impact on November's election. Thanks so much for joining us. For Fox 5 News at 4, I'm Christine Spiro. The justices said former presidents, including Donald Trump, enjoy a certain amount of immunity from prosecution. We have team coverage on this historic decision. Fox 5's Rob D'Arienzo has a look at what this means for the former president and the Georgia election case. We begin first with Fox 5 anchor Russ Spencer live in studio here with more on the court's ruling. Russ.
Donald Trump saying this is a big victory for him and for democracy. In a 6-3 ruling along the political divide of the court, the justices decided that presidents have immunity for official acts carried out in office, but do not have immunity for unofficial ones. The decision sends former President Trump's election interference case back to a lower court to decide whether his actions were official or unofficial. It also delays his trial in Washington ahead of the November election, meaning that if he wins, he can tell his Justice Department to drop the cases. Now, prosecutors have accused the former president of illegally scheming to cling to power after he lost to President Biden. The ruling amounts to a major victory for the presumptive.
So what that basically like, all right, allegedly accused of being scheming to keep power and this and that. I mean, simply like, he just was trying to figure out, was the election pretty much rigged in that particular state, which we're talking about Georgia. Were the ballots correct? Were the proper amount of people actually registered, or were they actually citizens? Or it's a lot to it, but yes. So, okay, he had his people dive into it. But the thing of it is, real talk, is that he was still in office while all that shit went down. So now,
and what the French toast is there to think about?
So now, of course, by them giving him immunity for anything that he done or did while he was, in office, of course, that's immunity. But if he did anything outside of office, then yeah, he's going to get prosecuted for it, and the proper judgment is going to fall down. Yeah. All right. Let's keep going here.
The Republican presidential nominee whose legal strategy has focused on delaying the proceedings. The former president reacted to the ruling, telling Fox News Digital, "This is a, quote, big win for our Constitution and for democracy." The Biden-Harris campaign also weighed in, saying this does not change the facts of what happened on January 6th. So, was the call to Brad Raffensperger.
Now, on January 6th, it gets complicated. And of course, like I said before, I don't trust none of these motherfuckers. I mean, none of them. From the judges, all of that, I don't trust none of these people. But all I'm saying is, though, is that at the end of the day, because I remember that day when Trump made that speech and stuff like that. And, it didn't necessarily sound like he was just commanding people to go down and, storm the Capitol or anything like that. But, of course, the way that the suggestion was made seems like, and I can see how people would take that. Like he was, kind of maybe demanding that people go down there and storm the Capitol. But it's, it was in such a way, it's like, well, people, should or this and that. Well, yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. But I could see how they would try to take that and point fingers, especially in today's society where we used to just pointing fingers and instead of, really taking the blame for our own decisions out here. I mean, nobody just really put a gun to anybody's head and made them go down to the damn Capitol and just be like,
and what the French toast is there to think about?
Let's just keep that 100 out here.
You can't make this shit up.
Can't make that shit up.
On January 2nd, asking for 11,780 votes, an official act or an unofficial one. they're going to disagree about that, and we'll see what happens in
Yeah,
court.
there was no decision on what is official and what is unofficial by the Supreme
Exactly.
Court, right? So, like you said, it'll still be debated. Russ, thanks so much. And big questions about how today's landmark Supreme Court ruling over presidential immunity will impact the former president's prosecution here in Georgia. Let's go to Fox 5's Rob Marienzo with that angle of the story and the fallout this has played out in Fulton County. Rob, what does this mean for the former president's RICO case?
Hey there, Christine. Well, some legal scholars tell me that this will change, but not completely derail the former president's massive RICO indictment in the courthouse here behind me. At the core of this, as Russ just mentioned just a few moments ago, is whether or not the former president was acting in his official scope of duties when he called Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger to try to overturn the results here in Georgia.
You're certainly at least going to get arguments about that, about whether there is immunity in the Georgia case.
Emory Law School professor Jonathan Nash spent the day combing through the Supreme Court's landmark decision Monday that former presidents are immune from the law if they're acting in an official capacity.
The court said,
Okay, my other question is, did he command that dude to do to check into it or overturn something or this and that, or did he ask the man to look into something to see what was going on? My bad, hold on. To look into something and see what was going on, because that's a huge difference. Like, did he command that man to be like, look, you need to go down and you need to change this and that and woo to woo? Or did he ask like, listen, look, I need you to look into this to see if these, ballots are correct or the numbers are straight or anything like that? That is a huge difference. Let's keep going.
Says there are certain things that lie within the core sphere of presidential authority.
But Professor Nash says the court did not offer any legal immunity for former President Trump's unofficial acts.
Setting up a scheme of fake electors is not something that the Constitution directly calls for.
And now the fate of former President Trump's legal troubles in Georgia, federally and elsewhere, hinges on what official means. Fulton County Superior Court Judge Scott McAfee must go through each of the former president's 10 alleged felonies and figure out if any are now void. That includes if Mr. Trump's now infamous phone call with Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger pressuring him to flip the results was part of his presidential duties.
But the special counsel can't point to the president's motive. That's not something that can come into play. The action is either going to be sort of official or not official.
Professor Nash says that same method.
Right. That's what we're talking about right now. Whether it was on official duty or it was in unofficial duty. But at the same time, though, too, when he did talk to Raffensperger, I guess that's the gentleman's name, Trump was still technically in office at that particular time. So that's the reason why the conundrum is coming into play with this situation. Jesus Christ. It just is what it is, though.
Metric will come into play in Georgia as well as in his federal cases. But the former president's RICO indictment in Fulton County has been at a standstill as the courts decide whether District Attorney Fani Willis should be off the case following her romantic relationship with Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade.
Yo. Yeah, she dug herself into some real shit right there. So this whole case in Georgia is surrounded by it's just a huge ass scandal, and from both sides, the president, Trump side, and Fatty side. Jesus Christ, it's crazy out here. Yeah, y'all get in the comments. Let me know what y'all think out there about this situation. Was Trump actually in office? Well, he was in office, so did he make an executive decision, or was he, wrong for asking Ginsburg? I mean, not Ginsburg. I can't think of the gentleman's name, but anyway, was he wrong for asking the dude to check into things?
That will have to be sorted out first in this case.
So that's all baked in already. This decision, I think, is going to give additional grounds for the president and who knows, maybe other litigants to make additional arguments to have certain counts thrown out, claims of immunity.
And on top of all of this uncertainty we're seeing at the federal level with those cases, he says that this case could take years to ultimately go before a jury. Meanwhile, we did reach out to DA Fonnie Willis's office for comment, but which they declined at this point. That's latest from here, live in downtown Atlanta. Rob D'Orienzo, Fox 5 News.
All right, Rob, thanks so much. Former Trump advisor Steve Bannon has reported to prison. The 70-year-old reported to federal prison to serve a 4-month sentence for charges related to the January 6th U.S. Capitol attack. A jury convicted Bannon in Washington on 2 counts of contempt of Congress nearly 2 years ago for ignoring a subpoena from the House January 6th committee.
Listen, y'all do know if Trump get in there, y'all do know all them people getting out right. Now, I'm not gonna sit here and say it's gonna happen in the first year that he's in there, but eventually, they, like this dude right here, yeah, Steve Bannon, yeah, he probably gonna get out. Well, he only said he had 4 months, but it's other people involved though. It's other people involved. So yeah, Steve dude, yeah, he probably got 4 months. Okay, yeah, so yeah, he probably be out for it. But yeah, though, it's other people that are involved that are, I definitely believe they're probably going to get out.
A federal appeals court panel Thursday rejected his bid to delay the start of the sentence. Northwest Georgia Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene was there as Bannon talked to reporters shortly before beginning his sentence. And this is all a developing story. Make sure to download the Fox 5 app on your smartphone for updates. And
okay, so yeah, that's the end of that one.
So what the French toast is there to think about?
All right. That is the end of that one. And yes, I'm saying that we're definitely wondering here, what's going to become of the Georgia case due to the fact of the immunity that was passed down through the Supreme Court and things like that. Like I said before, when he was looking into those election ballots and all that type of stuff, he definitely was still in office. So, was it an official duty or not? Like, yeah, that makes a huge difference. I mean, a huge difference out here. Yep. But it is what it is, though, man. Hey, shout out to all my subscribers out there. Mad love to y'all. If you're new to the channel, please hit that like, share, subscribe button. Make sure that you ring that bell to be notified whenever I decide to post things. And like I always say,
and that, my friends, is the bottom line.
That, my friends, is the bottom line.
Talk about that some other time.
No, I want to talk about it now.
Fred,
another reason
Fred, I said we'll talk about that some other time.
You don't tell me what I can talk about. You don't tell me what I can talk about in my own house.
Don't you point your finger at my nose, Fred Sanford.
I'll point my finger at your nose, and I'll point my foot somewhere else.